already? Is everybody here?
We is.
I think so.
Okay. Okay, well, let's get things kicked off. Let's call this meeting to order. We definitely have a short roll call, don't we, Ray?
Oh,
Okay, so we're all present here this early evening. Next agenda item will be the minutes, approval of the January 12th minutes. Any changes, corrections, anything of that nature? Nope, nothing, Ray?
nope.
Okay, so we will approve the minutes as posted and written here. Okay. Okay, next agenda item, D. Sandia Creek Via Vaquero. Who's on
That's
the,
sorry, didn't mean to cut you off.
that's okay.
I think that's the reason I'm here. And Debbie, I don't know if you've had a chance to meet me. I'm Ron Stein. I'm with Wildan. I'm working under Dave here. I do a lot of the behind the scenes heavy lifting on the design and everything. So it's an honor to be here. And I know you've taken over now, so I'm glad to see you here.
Okay, great. Nice to meet you.
I think everyone else knows me or has seen me before, so I'll go right into it. So I know Sandia Creek and Via Vaquero, we've been going on for a while now, but I've been dealing with our environmental consultants, and you know, there's been some new regulations that have come out, and the agencies have been kind of you know, just getting used to these new regulations, and we're falling under the whim of them. So I'll just go over kind of where we're at with that. So we've had meetings back and forth with the agencies, and kind of I was able to lock down a schedule based on the best of our knowledge, based on where we're going. So right now, the two tracks for the permits in Sandia Creek and Via Vaquero. We have the CDFW, the Fish and Wildlife, and so that permit application is complete. And right now we are in the process. I have Michelle from Ultra System is actually going to call Jessica from the office to get them set up. I know we set up an account in their ePIM system, which is a new permitting software they're using, which is causing some of the issues. And then they're going to be getting a call to set them up, Ultra Systems, as an authorized user, which will allow them to go in and get the permit fully into CDFW's hands after we revised everything per their requests. But that's going to happen this week. So we're expecting by February 12th, all the permits will be submitted through ePIMS, which is that permitting software. And then with that, most of these permits go through, they call them a 30+60. So it's like a 30-day initial review period where we're looking at everything, and then 60-day would be the permit issuance. So it's 90 days kind of total, but there's fluff in between. But so I'm looking at February 12th to around mid-March, March 15th. Well, that'll be that 30-day review period for the CDFW permit. And then once we hear back from them, address any comments, it's looking like around mid to late May, around May 14th-ish. That would be that 60-day would be the permit issuance time. And that's when we can go ahead and get that permit from CDFW. So that's one of them. The next two are the Regional Water Quality Board and the Army Corps. They kind of fall under the same tract here. So right now they're in the process. There's been some back and forth, but they have requested us to put together a pre-filing letter. So we put this letter together. I just put my last comments over to Michelle. So we're going to be getting that letter over by the 10th here. So tomorrow we will have that letter out and into the Water Board's hands. And with that, it's the same exact thing. It's a 30+60. So there's a 30-day pre-filing notice with that one, but it's the same thing as that initial review period for CDFW. And then 60 days is when they're expecting that permit issuance, which puts us in that same timeline of around mid-May, mid to late May is what we're shooting for. That's with everything that we know that we've coordinated with the agency. So that's Sandia Creek and Via Vaquero. So we're expecting mid to late May is when we can get those permits and really get things moving. So.
Okay.
Yeah, no, like he said, they've turned in stuff and got some preliminary and got some comments back, and they've made those changes, and then we'll resubmit for the final. So this is just part of the process. And Jim, you were asking about that 60-day thing, and so Ron kind of covered that 60-day. There's a 60-day review, and then if no one makes comments on it, like you talked before, it's a done deal.
It looks to me as if the 60-day on Sandia Creek and Via Vaquero, though, will not end until mid-July? Just based on the information Ron kind of sent over in an email I looked at a few minutes ago.
No, it was in mid-May. Like 5/14, so mid to late May is when I would anticipate that's gonna come.
Okay, but now, what I'm looking at is Sandia Creek via Vaquero, Ron. It says 5/19 is the 60-day permit issuance.
Oh, sorry, that's the end of it. That's the end.
Ah,
It's 3/15 to 5/15.
Okay.
60 calendar days, not working days, so it's 2 months, basically. They turn it in the middle of March, it'll be done by middle of May.
now do they feel that like COVID is gonna give them an excuse to extend this, or well, what I'm trying to do is, you know, summer's almost here, and we need to, you know, be planning, you know, seasons ahead. So right now is when I start planning for summer. So you think we're going to be in construction based on this information from the environmental people? Are we gonna be able to build this thing in July?
From the most recent schedule, if that schedule holds true completely, we'll have no problem before the rainy season getting this project in, based on the recent knowledge that we have.
Yeah, and one thing I told you, Jim, is that the design will not change based upon all this environmental work. People think it will, but it won't. The design's solid, so we can, you know, we can, like on Sandia Creek, we can negotiate with the contractor and get all that scheduled so that as soon as we get the permit, he can start. So, and that's, and on the other one, on Buena Vista, again, we could do the design. We have to revise that design. And then we can put that out to bid and put a caveat to the contractor that it could start within, and we'll put something during the summers, like anywhere from June to September, it would start, something like that on there. So we talked about that a little bit.
You're cutting out a little bit.
Oh. And I'm just saying on that one, we could put in the bid package, Buena Vista, that we could do longer, that their bid is good for a longer period before they start. We can go anywhere from June all the way up to the end of September.
Okay, so just for the committee's refresh their memory a little bit. Remember that Sandia Creek and Via Vaquero, we actually have a contract for that, which got delayed last year. And so that's been put on hold. We had two options. One was to put it out to bid again, or if the contractor would agree to negotiate, that we would revisit it this year. And that's the direction we went in, because Murrieta Development said that they would be pleased to do it this year. But that we still have to, because the plans have changed a little bit, the times have changed, of course. So we need to sit down and renegotiate with Murrieta Development. And I'm thinking that we should probably do that fairly soon, because should we not be able to come to terms with Murrieta, that we would have to put it out to bid again, right?
Right, and that is true. And one more thing we need to check is, and I need to get Ron to check with FEMA, is would we have to put it back out to bid because of the recent changes? They would be comfortable.
We're still having problems hearing you, Dave.
It goes in and out. It's kind of
I'm
strange.
sorry.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I don't know how to fix it. I'm right near my,
That's okay, that's better.
okay. Yeah, I'm hearing, it sounds like rain or something.
Sounds like you have traffic going through your office.
Yeah, and I don't, it's not coming from me. It's coming from somebody else.
Okay.
It's gone now.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh.
Oh, Now it's back.
Yeah, fine, go ahead.
Anyway, we can do, we just need to check with FEMA that they're gonna be okay with us, renegotiating with the contractor with his unit prices and everything after it's been sitting for, they bid it over like a year ago. So, just to double check that we don't jeopardize any revenue source from FEMA on reimbursement. That's just a double check we need to do now.
So can we do that tomorrow?
I can get Ron to work on that since he's been dealing with all that.
Ron, you
Yes.
talked to Bridget, right?
I'm gonna talk to Bridget. Yeah, I didn't get a hold of her yet, but after your call this afternoon, I will be getting a hold of Bridget. That's definitely a question I can ask her.
Yeah, I just don't want to jeopardize your money and refund.
Right, because they may require us to go out to bid. I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah, they might. So I just want to protect you.
So that's why we need to do this right away.
I agree.
Brains.
Okay.
That's the big thing, main items I have for Sandy Creek and Villa Vaquero.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Buena Vista?
All right, it's me again.
Okay.
So if you haven't got sick of hearing me talk yet, I'll just go for a little longer.
Okay.
So Buena Vista, I'm gonna have a same kind of schedule here, but for this project, we've actually, so the start of this project, this one is a different environmental consultant. It's being handled by Rincon. So back in December, right before the holiday, December 22nd, we had a preliminary meeting with the water board. And that kind of gave us a laundry list of items that we needed to go into a follow-up meeting with what they call the Western Riverside Regional Conservative Authority, which is a coalition of all the agencies basically. So all three agencies kind of work together in this agency. So it's the CDFW, the RWQCB, and USACE, same ones in the last one I talked about. So in this one, we had that preliminary meeting with the water board, and then next on January 13th, we were able to set up what they call kind of a pre-application meeting, and just a meeting to go over where we get input from all the agencies in one meeting. It was a very useful meeting. We got a lot of good information out of it, but there was some extra requirements based on same exact thing on the last one. There's new regulations that have been put into place. Just everything that's going on. They're having, and just a little background, the agencies are having trouble themselves even administering the new regulation because it's all new to them. So that's kind of what we're going through. But now we kind of got it in writing what we were going to do moving forward, and based on that meeting, that's where the next line item comes in. We need to submit what's called, they call it a DBESP. I don't know, it's a biological report basically. It's a determination of biological findings. I'm not sure of the exact acronym, but it's that and what they call a JPR, which is a joint project review. But that's basically the review for all three of those agencies going to be in one. And so with that, we're expecting that we can submit those documents on March 10th. That's about, it's about a month from now. We can get all those documents in and revise. That's going to include all the comments that we got from that meeting and anything additional information that they requested from us. With that, so based on my conversation with Rincon, they usually anticipate this to have about 2 rounds of comments for those kind of reports. And they have a maximum 14-day, 2-week turnaround. So with that, between March 10th and April 12th, we're expecting that 2 rounds of comments to come in, and we respond to those comments in that time. So it's about a month and a half of time, a little over a month of time that we're going through that. And then that can expect about the final reports can be included in the permit application, and that'd be around April 16th based on the quick math of the timelines there. So mid to late April, we can get the permits in and actually completed there. And with that, that's actually a 60-day, and back to a 60-day review time. They are required to respond within 60 days. So that's April 16th to June 15th. So I'm expecting sometime around mid to late June that we can have that permits anticipated from then. And kind of like Dave was talking about, within that time, we can get a contractor on board with certain caveats that we can not have the project until June, but there's a couple, this one we don't have a bid out yet for, so it was going to be a little things there, but we can get that worked through and do what we can to maintain that schedule and get a contractor on board as soon as possible.
That's it.
Sorry, that's all I have for Buena Vista.
It looks like Debbie's microphone is muted right now. Are you aware of that? We need to unmute Debbie. It's showing muted. Sorry, technical difficulties here. Okay. Ron, you're muted. Okay.
Okay,
Debbie, just as chairperson, that we have a person in the audience that just joined us. Are we finished with Buena Vista?
yes.
Yeah. Well, the decision would be of the committee whether we would want to go back to public comment, but the person that's joining would like to address the committee. And that would be for, would we allow 3 minutes or 5 minutes?
3 minutes.
3 minutes?
Mhm.
And if you so desire to go back to public comment, we'll do that. Otherwise, they will get to join the meeting to observe, but it's at the discretion of the committee, Mr. Johnson and Ms. Roberts.
Ray?
Whatever, makes no difference to me.
Since the individual is limited to 3 minutes, why don't we go ahead and get that addressed? And from my understanding, the topic of this individual that she would like to address with us is that of the Fallbrook Sandia Creek Gate situation that is has been going on, is still going on. And just to let you all know before she joins us, they did get their gate approval from the Fallbrook Community Planning Group. However, a few days later, from my understanding, is that the individuals that are opposed to it, that live on that section of the road, submitted an appeal. So as a result of that appeal, what has happened is that their building permit is at a standstill right now. And as of today, I haven't heard any more information. So this individual, Jim, where are we going to have her set up? Is she going to come in here, or how are we going to do this?
Oh, no, she'll be on the screen.
Okay, she'll be on the screen. All righty, then, and Jessica can get her all set up and ready to go?
At the waiting room, the electronic waiting room.
Okay, all righty, let's, Jessica, if you'll do me a favor once she comes in, and I'll greet her, and then she can address her name and so forth and her topic at hand. Will you also give us a time, watch the time for 3 minutes for us and call that at that when it's up?
Sure, yes.
And then
Okay.
the person may stay and observe, but
Yes,
they can only speak on items that are on the agenda,
correct,
and that item is not, so.
yes.
Okay.
Okay, Jessica, you can go ahead and let them in, and then they won't have heard what we just said. So Debbie, perhaps you could tell her the ground rules,
Sure,
welcome her or whatever.
Okay.
okay.
This individual muted.
I assume that
Dominic Django. Oh, there we go.
Hello? Hi there, Shauna. Let's see, make sure that you're close enough to your speaker so that we can hear you to begin with. Okay. And then just wanted to let you know the ground rules. Of course, we do have a public comment section, and you are limited to 3 minutes in terms of addressing the engineering committee here. And let's see, so what you can do for me is to tell us who you are, where you reside, and the subject matter that you wish to address to this committee.
Okay, can you hear me?
That's much better, yes.
Okay, good. My name is Shauna Jango, and I live in Duluth Heights, which is joined to the Duluth Community Service Districts. I'm also the private road division chairwoman of PRD 20 Daily Road. I represent 347 parcel owners, and it is my job to direct where the funds that are collected through our taxes for our 19 miles of road, how that money is going to be spent. So I was the chairperson when we had the big storm last February, and I, like you, had to deal with culverts and FEMA and getting our roads repaired. That's not my topic of why I'm calling, or why I've come to this meeting. I am very concerned about the Sandia Creek gate. One of the things that I have discovered is that there is a 1976 document that was recorded by the Yaquis dedicating a portion of the Sandia Creek Road, which back then was called Cali Loma, as a dedicated easement as a county highway. One of the other things that I've discovered by looking at your website and the history is that your community was developed after that. And I think that based on the map that you have on your website, it says very clearly that there are a few ways to local access, to access local communities. One of those ways is Sandia Creek. I think that was predicated on the fact that that easement was in place. The other ways are on Duluth, and then also up through Tinaja, and the other one is Rancho California. The two that are not listed is off of Carancho to Daly Road. It's not on your map, and I think it was not on your map because at that time, Daly Road truly was privately maintained roads. The other one is on Duluth when it turns into the dirt road and connects down to Guava. So that was one of my concern, and I just wanted you guys to address that and ask, what are you going to do if they do put a gate up? Are you going to change your district map? My second thing was my community members right now are having a difficult time finding insurance because of our road situation and the fire hazard. And I also wanted to know if you guys had considered that having a gate there could negatively affect your residents that are there about there, because they're basically closing off an access to a local community. And that's really the only reason that I wanted to come and join this meeting. So I hope I stayed under my 3 minutes. Thank you.
Okay. Jim, in terms of the district mapping, I don't know if you have any, that's going back quite a ways. I'm unfamiliar with that aspect. I don't know if you have any history on that.
No, not really. I jotted down a few notes way before my time, but I don't know that there's any effect on us. This is being handled by San Diego County. We don't really have any control over what they do. It may affect us, but it's really up to the county of San Diego, and then it would be the county of Riverside, who I believe, I'm not aware for sure, but I believe the county of Riverside gave an okay of some sort, but that's all I know. So, as far as, well, I guess I'd have to look into it, but right now, there really isn't, we don't have any jurisdiction on this. We've been keeping track of it, but.
Right. He's correct, Shauna. Unfortunately, it's not within our jurisdiction. This is a San Diego County area of responsibility. And I'm sure you've attended some of those meetings, and the Fallbrook Planning Committee, along with the county, have been handling all the issues and concerns and the processes involved in terms of determining the appropriateness of the gate up there. And if I'm not mistaken, I know I'm not mistaken, but in terms of the fire captain that spoke upon the gate and any concerns and issues that the folks out there had, they had addressed that and they felt that there were no issues at stake here. So unfortunately, again, it's not within our jurisdiction in terms of the Duluth Community Services District. And Jim is correct that at some point in time last year, we do believe that Riverside and San Diego County had some levels of communication. And at that point in time, and even as today, I'm not aware of any issues that the county, Riverside County has with San Diego and the possibility of that gate coming up. So again, unfortunately, you need to go back and address your concerns and issues with the county.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Jim, are we prepared to move on?
Yes, we are. I think Mr. Hunt is prepared with the future roadway projects. That's agenda item F.
All righty, Dave.
As we did some preliminary talking last month about the various types of projects we could go for. We were all kind of, in our minds, kind of leaning toward the Buena Vista culvert, but we decided that was going to be contingent on how much money, the finance committee and the board were going to allow us to spend this year, and see if that was in our budget. And also they were going to talk about how that district would basically spend all their money, maybe even go in debt a little bit on it, because it's all in District 2, I believe. And now, Jim, did the finance committee, they're not even ready to talk about types of numbers to spend for next year yet. Aren't they closing all their books out and doing a bunch of other stuff?
Well, I think they're ready. I mean, they know that we need to do, or a project is generally scheduled at this time of year for completion during the summer months. I did mention to them that this came up. I think there were some issues about whether, Buena Vista could be considered one project and then we could continue to do other projects. That didn't go very far. Set aside about $700,000, which we would do again, and it's actually next year's budget. So I think the feeling is that it would be up to the engineering committee whether, I guess, question one is, do we want to do Buena Vista, which has been on hold for 5 years because there was a desire to obtain FEMA money to pay for this, which means it wouldn't come out of our budget. But that has now been determined that there is not going to be FEMA money for this project. So now it competes with the other possible projects that you could do this year. With the numbers that we have seen, which are projections by Dave and his staff, we're looking at about the same amount of funds, being around $700,000 to do this project. But that $700,000 would be charged to the roadway rehab funds of Zone 2 and would take that down to about zero. They just happen to have about $500,000 or $600,000, maybe $700,000 for their share of roadway rehab funds. And what this means is that it will take some years, like about 5 years, to build back up to this level as the property tax funds come in each year. It's set aside in and accounted for in various zones. So if we were to do this, and if next year we had another massive failure like this one in zone 2, it could create some financing issues internally. But in terms of the ability of the district to pay for this, it's not an issue. The funds are there. It's just how we segregate them by zone. So, and how that came up, or the reason that came up, is that there have been some comments that maybe the people in the zone should at least be aware of it, that, you know, their zone is undertaking this project. And again, it goes back to the number of properties that this road services. We did traffic counts, and it's like under 10 or around 10 trips a day on this road. It's a lot of money for a road that doesn't handle a lot of traffic, but there still are homeowners affected. One has spoken to you a couple times at your meetings, and it's right across the street from him, you know, so it's not very visibly pretty, I guess. So I think if you bring this to the board, there's going to be some discussion by the board as to, do we get any input? But then again, the other side of the coin is the hole in the road, which goes down 40 feet, isn't going to go away. So whether there's the accounting issues or not, if we decided not to repair Buena Vista, then the next question has to be asked. So what are we going to do with it? Because we can't leave it.
Right.
Yeah.
Also too, Jim, I know that there's a handful of people there that live on that particular stretch of road there, but the community is asking, you know, the general population is asking, you know, what's our intention, you know, because they all know that it's been going on for a number of years now. So, you know, so they have their own concerns and issues just in general, and the length of time that the situation has been lying there, so to speak. So, yeah, I hear what you're saying. Okay.
So is this something that the engineering committee needs to make a recommendation, and if we want to go forward with it, we can take it to the board? Is that the next step, Jim?
That would be the next step.
If you guys give a recommendation, I'll write up a staff report, and we can turn that in for the next board meeting. Maybe the one after.
Well, perhaps, Mr. Hunt, you could just review where we are. This project was originally put in for FEMA funding back in 2016. That's when the washout occurred. Yeah. FEMA came out, inspected it. We did all the paperwork through FEMA to get it funded. And then they kind of hit the wall about 2018 when FEMA came back and said, based on their inspections, the pipes were rusted out. Therefore, it was improperly maintained and wouldn't qualify for FEMA funding.
Yeah.
So,
and we appealed that and wrote a letter describing how it was a extraordinary event. It exceeded the capacity of the storm drain, no matter what the condition was inside. It exceeded the capacity and would wash out anyway, whether it had rust on the bottom of the pipe or not. And they rejected it. Yeah, because we didn't spend $50,000 doing hydrology studies.
Okay, Dave, you cut out at the $50,000. I heard you say that, but I think it's very critical. Restate that sentence.
Yeah, FEMA said rejected it because we didn't spend all this like $50,000 doing hydrology and hydraulic studies. We wrote a letter just explaining what had happened, but they even kind of mentioned even if we did, they were going to reject it. That was just in the mode they were at. I think they spent all their money on the 2016 and they were pretty much done with it. The federal government kind of gets that way. And then we got hit with the 2018 storm, and then that really threw the 2016 stuff out the window.
But we weren't able to get any funding for the 2019 storm. But the reason I hit on the 50,000 is during that process, because it appeared back in like 2017 that FEMA was going to fund this, the staff or the district hired an engineer in Hemet who did designs and also conducted an environmental assessment. And we tried to use the environmental assessment from that one this time, and they rejected it. So then we had to go back and basically pay for this environmental assessment all over again. But we do have designs from that firm which have been moved from that firm over to Wildan. And that, Dave, where are we as far as the design on this?
Well, we haven't started that. I mean, the design is there, the basic picture is there. So much more of the dirt has washed away in 2019.
Speak in the mic.
Yeah, there's in the 2019 storm, more dirt has washed away, and so it needs to be resurveyed and re-put back together. We haven't done that yet, waiting to see if the committee actually wanted to go forward with it. And we can get that done within a couple months and have it ready to go out to bid well ahead of any environmental permits are done. But we just, but we don't want to spend the money, something the engineering committee wants us to do.
So you're going to have to do design.
Correct.
And is that going to affect those environmental assessments going on right now?
No, because we're basically using the same footprint. We're not changing the footprint, and that's what determines all the environmental issues, is where you're coming in, where you're going out, where you start and finish. We're not changing any of that. We're not changing we're not changing what the existing pipes were before, going back in the same size, all that stuff, which made the agency happy to see that we weren't going to make them smaller or anything like that. So we just need to know that we're going to go forward with that, and we plan to do that without any issue. It's just we need to make sure we know we want to spend more money on this project, or let it die if no one wants to go forward with it. So we're kind of waiting to hear on direction if this project really is a go or no.
And you can get this completed, or you can do your design and go out to bid, and we could have this done like this year. I mean, this summer.
Oh yeah, right, Ron.
Design wise, yeah, that'd be no problem. And based on the environmental schedule, I don't see an issue with that.
Yeah.
Design wise, we can get it done and quickly. Yes.
Yeah, Ron's the one that does all the design work and his staff there in the office. So yeah, and it's a normal, because we have a really good preliminary stuff laid out on the previous engineer. So we'll use part of that, but we have to go get the whole thing resurveyed just so we know how much dirt goes in, how far back, because every year that roadway gets a little wider, the gap, because it gets scoured out by unprotected slopes down below. They're vertical, and they every year they'll start washing out bigger and bigger.
So the decision really before the committee last meeting, and I'm just refreshing your memory, last meeting, Dave presented a number of alternatives to spend $700,000 this year. That's basically it. And one is they've been working on Via Vaquero. They've done 3 segments. There's a couple more segments that are designed that we could do and base it on the $700,000 budget number. And then Dave, you had a couple others possibilities.
Well, it was extending via Pajero all the way up. And then we were also talking about whatever money we have left over from the 700,000. Let's say we do one project and
speak in the microphone.
we're spending 500,000. Then let's say we have 200,000 left, we can go out and do a bunch of street rehab, sections where it's really cracked and eroded, all the streets falling apart, and fix it, or do some other stuff out there, to get all the streets up. So we could. There's plenty of things. Look at this way. There's $12 million in street work we can work on. So we can pick money, project anywhere.
So we've put these up for your review, and I guess it would be then appropriate for the committee to kind of decide pretty much which direction the district should go in this year, and if Buena Vista makes the most sense to you, then at this meeting make the recommendation to the board that that's the way we should go, and then Dave and his people will move forward on that.
Well, I'd like to go back to what you had suggested, Jim, in terms of, I believe that, and I know for me it would be extremely helpful. I only know about Buena Vista when I was sitting on the Sandia Road Committee and attending the engineering meeting. So I don't have a lot of the historical data that you're talking about right now. But to put a summation together in terms of where we started off in 2016, where we're at now, and what gaps we need to fill in to have a pretty close idea of, the kinds of money that we're talking about, the timetable and so forth. I think we need to put something of that nature together for us to review and present it as a possibility to the rest of the board. But I think we need to have something put together that that hits the fine points for the board members to be able to clearly understand, so that we can make a decision. Because either we're going to do something with Buena Vista, like you said earlier, one of you did, or we're not going to do anything and concentrate on the other things. But for me, myself personally, I like to see a summation of where we were and where we're at today, and if we decide to move forward.
So we could prepare that and then bring it back to the committee in March, and then perhaps and maybe even more specific, as if we're move forward. No, thank you. Get things pretty much prepared, and then we could put it on the March board agenda, and then your report, the committee's report on the February meeting, could be that we're moving closer to a recommendation for the roadway rehab project, and we are looking very closely at Buena Vista, just so the board members know what we're up to here, and that you're going to be reviewing it again in March with possible recommendation at that meeting to the board. Something like that?
Yeah, and in fact, I believe at one of our last meeting, we kind of talked about that timetable looking at March. I think it's a little too soon for next week, and I'm kind of iffy for next week's board meeting anyhow, because like I told you, I'm taking that second COVID, and I'm not sure how I'm going to respond to it. So I just want to be prepared. I might do the Zoom meeting from home instead of here at the CSD. But I think that the guys need a little time to put something together on paper. What do you think, Ray?
I don't know. I'm not sure what the
Well, next meeting, if we present more of the data, I think, and you'll probably have something out in writing in advance, that it might make it much easier for the committee to make a decision.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, very good. Any other comments on that, Dave?
No, that'll do it.
All righty.
We know what we have to do. We'll have it put together by next meeting.
Yeah. Okay, very good. All righty, then we're going to move on. Who's next?
Like Steve.
There you go.
That'd be me.
All righty, Steve.
All right, next slide. As we've been talking over the last couple months, we have finalized this project, so it's just some paperwork and accounting left to do, but what's out in the field is done. So what you see is what you get, and they did a good job. We're moving around the speed sign. It was on Via Vaquero last, and now it's over on Avenida del Oro. Next street, so it'll be Sycamore Mesa, Vista Del Mar, and Calle Capistrano. And that's just a continuing education program right now that we're doing to tell people to hold it down. We put a new speed sign up on Via Vaquero. We put new advisory speed signs up on Sycamore Mesa, and we replaced several street name signs, stop signs, and markers for roadway out. We've been focusing on safety and visibility, so several intersections were recently trimmed to increase the view for approaching cars. And we worked with a homeowner on Via Horca to knock down his embankment, shave it back so that his driveway would have better sight distance on the new home that he's constructing. We helped spot 2 proposed driveways so that visibility is good for new construction. And staff's been going around and putting in the missing blue RPMs at the fire hydrants as we see them so that they can be located quickly at night. And that's my traffic report, and I'll answer any questions you have.
No, I'm good.
All right, no questions. Let's go on to maintenance then. Next slide. So we've kind of wrapping up the grading of shoulders. We still have 1 or 2 streets left to do, but we're almost done with that part of the project. We've been sending out letters to owners that are having their cuttings being left in our right of way. This is just an example of what we see periodically. So we're waiting on owners. We give them 30 days to take care of it. If they don't, then we take care of it and send them a bill. We purchased a crack sealing machine this last month, and we started using it on one of the streets to see how it went. The first street we tried it on, we filled about 20 cracks, about 300 to 400 lineal feet of cracks we filled. It took us about 5 hours. Contractor to do this type of work would have been about $1,800. Our staff time and materials included all together is about $300. So we saved $1,500 the first time we used it, the first day. This is what it looks like when the crack that we just saw is sealed. The good news is that $1,500 covers the complete cost of the machine and most of the materials that we bought for the next 2 dozen streets we're going to be doing. So we're hoping to continue to do these as we can to help reduce future roadway repairs. So that's a further savings that can come down the line if the roads don't get water under them and start, upheaving or cracking further, We have a new idea that we had implemented in January 1st. We budgeted approximately $30,000 for a public works app. This allows us to track all the work that our guys are doing and help us provide a better record system going forward. It's real simple to use. It's just based on the location. You just call up the location that you're at and you start plugging data in. This is a sample of the screen that you would get on the tablet that we purchased, and it'll say what kind of work you're doing, kind of thing. You enter that in, you enter the type of work that you're doing, go to the next screen. You select all the information that you want to put in it. If you have some pictures, you can put pictures in it too and tag it to that location so that you now have a permanent record of the work that was in writing, and you have any pictures that go along with it. And this is awesome because it eliminates kind of the middle person, you know, having the crews come back with a completed work log and then having to have somebody try to type and transfer all that data into the computer. These guys are just doing it right in the field, so it saves time and reduces the errors that may occur, you know, transferring this data, and gives you immediate data and results. And so you can call up any particular map you might like and say, I want to know how many potholes we fixed in the last month. It'll show you the locations of all those, or, you know, where are all the trees that we trimmed? It'll show you those locations. So it's going to be real good for us going down the line here in the future, planning our work efforts. And that's my report, and I'll answer any questions you might have.
Oh, great job. Love the idea. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Jim?
I think all the items I have been covered. There's no subdivisions right now going on. We talked about county, both counties. State, I can tell you that our gas tax situation is getting better since the last meeting, but I'm gonna save that report for Mary Ann at the board meeting. But I can say that we have had very good, favorable luck with Senator Melendez, who took over, got the seat from Jeff Stone when he resigned. And we have actually had a meeting with the senator, and it's looking very good that we're going to be back in the battle to get our gas tax. So I think I'll stop at that point and let that committee make its report at the board meeting.
Okay, thank you very much. Before we close out, Ray, any questions or anything to add this evening?
Nope.
No? All righty, everybody, really appreciate your time this evening, and we'll see you all next week.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Jessica.
Bye-bye.
Well,